Hello, thanks for joining us. Today may I welcome Paul Johnson, CEO of Metal NRG. Paul, can you give us a brief outline of Metal NRG and what your investment policy is?
Yes, no problem. Metal NRG is quoted or listed, depending on what term you use, on the NEX exchange in London with the ticker MNRG. We are moving towards a cobalt focus. We're a natural resource investing company on NEX. We've seen in recent times a huge amount of increase in battery technology and in the commodities that run behind it. So Metal NRG has made its early investing forays into cobalt projects, projects on the ground where we can support ongoing exploration. I suspect going forward we'll be focused for a good period of time on the cobalt sector. And what we're trying to do is to access projects that don't have as much funding as they would like, give them some money to do work on the ground, deliver results to market as rapidly as we can, hopefully with some very nice cobalt exploration findings, build the value of those projects up as quickly as we can before the market really gets too overexcited about cobalt, which we think it's going to do.
You recently announced you've made your first two investments, a new cobalt venture in Western Australia and the second, an investment in US Cobalt, the operator of Columbia Pass, a potentially high-grade cobalt exploration opportunity in Nevada. Could you explain those two projects in more detail?
Yes, of course. Well, we decided we wanted a degree of diversification across geographic territory. Most of the cobalt discussions are focused on the DRC in Africa, which is not the most secure operating environment, and we have found opportunities in Australia and in the US which are secure operating environments for natural resource companies. We have in Australia a number of license applications over cobalt focused projects, so this is early stage stuff. We can do a degree of work on the ground, but until we get the licenses granted we have to hang back a little bit. In the US we have something far more advanced. This is a historical producing site that has produced cobalt in the relatively recent past, and we have a number of exploration interests there. We're also looking at a number of potential mines that previously produced cobalt in that area. So that's our advanced part of the portfolio. So we think the very early stage Australian applications together with the much more advanced US cobalt opportunities are a nice mix.
Clearly you're focused on cobalt at present, but are you looking at any other natural resources opportunities?
Well, we look at things all the time, and we have a very large pipeline. We're trading on NEX, which is slightly lower liquidity than many investors would like. It's improving, it's getting better. More stockbrokers are starting to sign up, and we're hoping that online trading will be far more prevalent in the back end of 2017 than it is at the moment. Liquidity levels should rise and everything will be more like AIM in the not too distant future. But right now we need to focus investors' minds and have them think about have a real desire to invest in our company. Cobalt is starting to generate substantial interest in the UK. We don't think there's any better commodity. It's embedded at the heart of battery technology. It's the kind of thing that soon investors will say, where can we get cobalt exposure? And Metal NRG, in theory, could be the only cobalt-focused business listed in London. And if we do that, then we'll have a real group of investors searching out our shares. And when they do that and start to buy, we have a large amount of our shares held tightly. 40% are held by the board of directors themselves, and just a few buys coming in could have quite a dramatic impact on our share price, and we naturally would like it to go up.
You raised initial investment funds in March this year. Is this sufficient capital for you to get to your next planned phases of growth?
Yes, it is. We have a slightly unusual situation. We are not concerned about capital. As long as we build our business in the right way and we have an interesting, engaging business, we're very comfortable we can go and raise further capital on absolutely fair terms for the existing shareholders. But yes, we do at this point in time have enough capital. Going forward, we will need to raise more unless we were fortunate enough to sell one of our projects quite an early stage, which is always feasible, particularly when you're in a sector such as cobalt, where there's such a demand for reasonable projects that you never know who might come knocking on the door. But there has to be an assumption that we will raise going forward. Right now we're perfectly comfortable, and let's just see what happens.
The shares are listed on the NEX exchange here in the UK. Are you looking at listing on any other exchanges?
People talk to us about, are we thinking of moving up to AIM and perhaps listing on other markets overseas? No, we believe at this point in time that the NEX exchange is evolving quite rapidly, that there are a number of large stockbrokers who will start to trade the shares online. You can already buy the shares online through the Share Centre and through the Jarvis platform, which is Share Deal Active, or through any of the normal stockbrokers in the city where you have a personal relationship. It sometimes involves picking up the phone, but online trading is increasing, and that's the key. When that happens, NEX will become just like AIM. The advantage of being on NEX is that it doesn't have the rather barbaric class tests that the AIM market utilises to assess whether or not you can do transactions with or without a reverse takeover, which is a very costly and time-consuming process. So NEX is far more flexible for smaller growth entrepreneurial resource businesses. So we would like to stay exactly where we are, and as long as NEX becomes more tradable with more online trading, then I think we're in the right place.
In summary, what do you think makes Metal NRG a compelling investment?
Well, I think it's a mixture of different things. Companies such as this have to have certain elements in place to be successful. We have a good team with very strong experience in the past. We're building with resource companies from a very small base up to a large company level. We've got access to some wonderful cobalt opportunities, and we are focusing really now on the cobalt sector, which is very attractive. We could be the only cobalt focused listed company in London. Lots of companies are dabbling because it's a sexy commodity now and they think it will be sexier going forward, but we're pretty much focused on it. We have good working capital at the moment, and we have access to finance which we can get on sensible terms for the existing shareholders should we want to raise more money. So we have all the elements in place now. I hope that people will have the confidence to look at our share, to go and find the routes to purchase the stock and then buy some shares and sit on them. And then if they do that, they'll be richly rewarded at the end of the process.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks again to Paul Johnson, CEO of Metal NRG. For more information on Metal NRG, visit their website, metalnrg.com.